Yo,
I'm out.
did this dude just really jump off? Is he done?
I'm
He
out.
walked away?
It's over. It was nice. God, I hate y'all, man. I love y'all, but I hate y'all. I hate that goddamn song. And like, I'm gonna put this on wax. I have a very eclectic like music taste. Like when I talk about baseball songs that I enjoy, like on one end of the spectrum is like Big Papa from Hardball, and on the other end of the spectrum is like Jessica from Field of Dreams. I like a lot of stuff. Center field sucks. Mid, trash, garbage, L plus ratio plus Enter Sandman better. Like, get it out of here. It's weak. It's trash. It sucks. We don't need it. We progressed past the need.
What a terrible take.
All right, before, not even like sonically. I can talk about it sonically. Sonically, it's so corny. But like the hook that everybody knows, put me in, coach, I'm ready to play. That you coming off the bench. Why you gotta be put in? You on the bench. Who do you think starters are asking to be put in the game? No, they're in the game. Why you gotta put me in the game? Why are you lobbying for that? If you was really that guy, you'd be in the game already. So
it's a true underdog story.
I'm with Justice. Song sucks.
Welcome to the show, Justice.
By the way, Justice De Los Santos, everybody.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate y'all for having me.
This is the man, the trash.
Y'all knew you was gonna get me if you played that, though. Y'all knew what you was doing. Y'all knew what you was doing.
You know, the funny thing is too. So you in the DM like an hour ago, you're just like, you know, we're gonna talk about center field, right? I had this intro already done. I'm just like, oh my god, he's ready for this. It's happening. Don't worry.
Man,
but you tweeted that. You tweeted that today. As a matter of fact, for everyone who's maybe even wondering, like, what the hell is going on here? What are you even talking about? Justice's tweet from earlier today. Center field is the worst baseball-related song on this earth and should be barred from every ballpark. I can't believe 4,646 people had to see that trash.
When I say this too, I'm including like all of the team-centric songs too. Like it's below that. Like someone mentioned like that really bad Marlins one from the early aughts. I'm ranking it above that. Someone said "Go Cubs, go." I'm ranking it above that. I don't think someone said what's the one they play after Yankees games that's really repetitive? What do they play after Yankees games? It's like the Start spreading the news. They play that after Yankees games when they win. Mm-hmm. It gets repetitive after the second time. Putting that above. I'm trying to like go into like San Francisco, like when they play Lights by Journey or they play Don't Stop Believing. That's above. You could I could probably list you off if you gave me enough time. 100 better baseball-related songs. Electric Field, Tim Lincecum's walkout song. Better song than Center Field. Hell's Bells, Trevor Hoffman, better song. Crank That Soldier Boy, because Yu Chang used it, better song.
Well, those also aren't baseball songs. Like those are real songs.
That's like, the thing though. So Enter Sandman like technically isn't a baseball song, but we associate it with baseball. There's an association there. That's what I was getting to. Because if you do like baseball-centric songs only, then it's like, okay, it's a very small list. I'm talking about songs with an association to baseball as a whole. Because if you start talking about like just purely songs about baseball, like I can't really name a lot.
Well, then we're just comparing like apples to oranges here. Like you just named a bunch of good songs.
I know, right? He's like, hey, remember this number one song in 2003?
Yeah.
You remember this Journey song? Journey's awesome.
Right. If you compare Center Field to number one hits.
But that's the thing.
That's not what it is.
Though. That's the thing. we're like uplifting it, and like if like we're putting it in this like cherished space in like the baseball realm where it's like this is sacred, cannot be touched. But so if you're gonna put it up there, we're gonna put it up to scrutiny.
But it's like comparing any baseball movie to like the best movie ever.
So what are
You
some
compare
other,
baseball movies to baseball movies.
What are some other?
That's true.
Oh, y'all are not gonna like my opinion on that. I'm just gonna abstain.
Pirates Generation.
I'm just gonna abstain from that. But okay, so what are some other like purely baseball related songs? Like this song is about baseball, because I'm like not thinking of it.
What's the Alabama song? Cheap Seats.
Yeah.
Didn't Nelly have a song?
Nelly had a song with Fernando Avina as a cameo. Whatever. See, that should be a baseball related song, or like MVP Baseball 2005 soundtrack, like Honest Mistake. These are songs that like I have like affinities for, that are like related to baseball, that I think of when I think of baseball. That's kind of the thing I'm getting to. It's like when I hear this song, like Green Onions, I think of baseball when I hear that. But when I hear like Center Field, I'm like, man, like it's trying to have this prominent place. I feel like it had its time. I think we can move past it. That's all I'm saying. We can move past Center Field.
Whatever.
We're going to agree to disagree. That's all. We're going to agree to disagree.
I mean, Glory Days by Bruce. That's a banger.
Oh, y'all don't
that
know
is a baseball song.
Y'all don't know my opinion on Bruce.
Oh boy.
I feel like that might explain a lot.
What's your opinion on Bruce?
There's a tweet. You can look it up. I was actually listening to this song today. I said, I had a tweet that was like, it was literally the day before I announced that I was going to cover the Pirates back last year. It was like February 11th. It was the last tweet before I sent that I was going to get, that I was hired. I said that Put On by Jeezy is is like more culturally relevant than anything Bruce has done. I don't fall into the Bruce Springsteen baseball writer stereotype. I just don't. And again, I just listed a wide range of songs from a wide range of genres. My library is very eclectic.
No, you just listed a bunch of songs that you think relate to baseball.
Yeah, and it's a wide range of genres.
Let me ask you this. Do you make album covers for your playlists?
Just one. That song, the playlist is my Bay Area playlist. I call it Yay Area. And the cover that's up to that playlist is Marshawn Lynch when he took the golf cart at Cal. Everything else is just whatever.
Okay.
All right. So it's not your norm.
No, it's not the standard.
So you don't have like a number one playlist of like 90s hip hop.
I'm not
ranked number one in the nation.
You say what? Like,
They're trolling me right now. They're trolling me. Let me explain this. So when it comes to music, I'm sure many of you aren't surprised. I'm very particular with things.
Stupid.
Maybe OCD-ish type of stuff. So like way back in the day, I actually organized. I had an external hard drive of all my music. It was in folders, right? Think about this too. This is before like iTunes was relevant in that sense, like it is today, right? Apple Music and such. So I had a folder for every genre. Then it's subcategorized to every artist, then every album in it, and then it was I could access it remotely, right? So I had like my own iPod everywhere I went via the internet. So with that said, we're talking about this, and I actually on my playlists, I actually make cover art for. I can't do like the 4 albums. That just doesn't visually. I can't do that.
See, I'm not gonna rag that though. That's
so
creativity.
I legit make.
I'm not gonna rag on that though.
Like album covers for all my playlists.
You see, I saw crunk music in there. You can say whatever you want. I'm like, you can say whatever you want about that.
But that's the thing. The other thing is too. So yeah, I have a playlist. And I don't know. I can't tell how it is now because like Apple makes all their own playlists now. But my early 2000s R&B was the number 2 ranked playlist on iTunes, like my actual playlist.
Really?
Yeah, it's called early 2000s R&B. It's the number 2.
You got a lot of Usher singing in the rain with his shirt on.
Yeah, like remember like when Beats Music transitioned to Apple, like right away. So like Apple used to, every time you had someone like subscribe to your place, you get a notification.
Justice
I was
doesn't
like
remember
getting
that. He was
notifications
like 4.
all day long. He was 4.
This
Anyways,
is like
that's just my story. We can move off of it.
well, okay. One more music thing, because I know who you have in your background. Just as fans of rap and hip hop, De La Soul's on streaming. It's a beautiful week. I don't think it's been a week yet. I think it was March 3rd. It's a beautiful moment. I've been listening to like the Buddy remix. They don't have like the right one on Spotify. It's like the kind of blander one that's on Spotify. But like the full one with like Jungle Crew is like, and Q-Tip is like on YouTube. It's phenomenal. And yes, that came out. I'm aware that came out in '89, 9 years before I was born. So be proud of me for my little knowledge. I've been listening to Stakes is High a lot.
When you brought up Dilla, I was like, wait a minute, what's going on? You? But yeah, I respect it. Hey, honestly, like I got on hip hop and I just went years and years back too. So I understand.
I found out the Chronic was on Spotify too. It was a great day. I thought that thing was taking off.
See, what we need to do, honestly, we need to get these two off the show, right? We need to bring Joe Block on, and we have to have a show with us 3, just talking 90s hip hop.
I would not mind it. I think I was talking to Joe Block today about hip hop, like something related.
Well, we need to make that happen. And then there'll be like just 4 people watching, but it doesn't matter. That's my favorite show.
You guys are saying a lot of words that I don't know.
Yeah, we know, Tyler. We should move on, though. We're losing everybody.
Probably talk about Pirates. It's not like something important today happened pertaining to the opening day roster or anything.
Right.
Just a normal day.
No, actually, there's a lot of stuff happening. We were talking about this. You coming on the show is almost like, okay, but what are we going to talk about? Like, I just felt like there's not a whole lot happening.
Literally after this, you DM me that, and you were like, what are we going to talk about? And then like immediately after, it was like, oh, you going to cook. It's time to cook.
Yeah. So what you been whipping up?
I mean, I think the thing that we can start off the most, kind of the most important thing of today, and kind of in terms of implications for the opening day roster, is Jarlin Garcia. The kind of sense that I get when we were talking to Todd Tomzik, the Pirates director of sports medicine, he's yet to grip. For those of you who are unaware, as of what we've been told today, he's unable to currently grip a baseball, which not good. That being said, the initial testing on his shoulder and his elbow came back clean. And when we asked Tom, like, is that kind of uncommon? He said, like, yeah, it's pretty uncommon for these two to be fine, but you'd be unable to grip a baseball. And so in terms of what a definitive timeline might look like with Garcia, we don't have one. But we do know that this isn't going to be something that lasts a couple days, but we do know this is something that's going to be at least a couple weeks until he even entertains the idea of pitching. And just on a personal level, like trying to getting into the mind of Jarlin, like you feel for the guy. Like he was supposed to go pitch. Like he's supposed to be with Team Dominican Republic right now. Like he's supposed to put on for his nation on the world stage of baseball. Like, and now not only is he going to have to, miss out on that opportunity. I'm not sure if he's still going to travel with the team. That's something that I'm going to try to figure out tomorrow, because I know that Chavez Young leaves for to play with the Great Britain tomorrow. But he's going to miss that, and he might miss opening day as well. So just on a personal level, you kind of feel for the guy. And then in terms of implications, this is a guy that was supposed to be on the opening day roster as well. When you kind of look to the left-handed options, it's a lot of guys with some intrigue, but trying to sort out what that might look like going forward. So that's pretty much the biggest newsy thing as we stand. I think you kind of jinxed it in a sense, saying that we didn't have much to talk about, because now we have this to talk about.
Yeah, I kind of want to go a little bit further into this. Just your thoughts, because it seems like just based off of the diagnosis, I would be shocked if he's available by opening day. I mean, if he's not going to be pitching for a while, he's not going to be pitching opening day. So are you thinking, are they going to go with one of these non-roster invitee lefties? Are they going to look to maybe acquire somebody? They did make an acquisition today, and we'll talk about that later. But just your vibes, are they going to basically just next man up, or are they going to go find somebody?
I think it really depends on the severity of the injury. And a lot of these questions can't really be answered until they have an idea of the severity of the injury. Because if this is something that causes him to miss, let's say, the first 2 weeks of the season, that's a 15-day IL stint, which means you can't, like, if you were to put him on the 60, for example, like, that clears up a roster spot. If you put him on the 15, that doesn't clear up a roster spot. But if this is serious enough to warrant a trip to the 60-day IL, then that puts them in an easier position to want to add one of the non-roster invitees. So that's kind of where they stand right now, because if they would want to add one of those non-roster guys, but he's only on a 15-day stint, or, maybe he's, got a puncher's chance to kind of be there, then, it gets a little tricky, because we're talking about guys having to be taken off. And, today you kind of alluded to it. Max Kranick was put on the 60-day IL, which gave the Pirates the opportunity to add the outfielder from the Rangers. His name is escaping me off the top of his head, but it's kind of a wait and see in terms of how specifically they're going to approach it. It just really depends on the severity of his injury. But I will say, that competition among those left-handed guys, it just kind of, with this news, it got a lot more intensified, so to say.
And let's be honest, the rest of the left-handed options aren't that appealing. You're really hurting now. And I don't want to treat it like it's the end of the world here. It is, a decently good reliever. They should be able to survive it, but losing probably your top lefty, it's not good for this team at all.
Yeah, I think that's the issue is if he were right-handed, I don't think this would be that big of a deal. But, I don't think you can go into opening day with the only lefty in your bullpen being a Rule 5 pick. I don't really think that's a good idea. So then, yeah, you're looking at, let me pull up the list here. Caleb Smith, Daniel Zamora, Rob Zastrizny, and Angel Perdomo are the non-Rossi invitees that are left-handed. So I guess, Justice, if any of those had an upper hand on any of the other ones, who would that be? Or are they all kind of even right now?
I feel like the one that might have the upper hand is Caleb Smith, because he does have the major league experience. He transitioned into relieving, starting part-time in 2021, and then transitioned essentially into full-time relieving last year. And it's kind of, you look at the surface numbers, I want to say it's like a 4.11 ERA across 70 innings. And you see that and you're like, oh, that's not the worst thing in the world. And then you kind of see the underlying 3 true outcomes. And then I believe it's up to like a 5.79 FIP. And, that's not all that savory. And then with Angel Perdomo, I don't know if you guys had the chance to see him when you were here in person. A very large human being. He's taller than O'Neal Cruz. He's 6'8", and they actually gave him the number 68, which that was not lost upon me. He's a very big arm, but it's not the biggest arm in the world. He's not like hitting high 90s consistently. He might, maybe touch 95, 96. He's kind of one of those guys where it's like he can rack up those strikeouts, but also there's the element of control that kind of comes into question. And so, yeah, it is more of a sticky situation opposed to just 2 weeks ago or just even last week in terms of how they want to approach this. One of the interesting things that Shelton had talked about, and this is something that Charrington had talked about as well, is they're not going to add lefties for the sake of adding lefties. Because if you shift over to the right-handed side of things, like when I was making my opening day roster projection, like 2 of the guys that could, in my mind, that could have easily been on the opening day roster that I decided to omit, and they were really hard omissions, were Yohan Ramirez and Colin Selby. Those are like 2 guys right there. And again, you do want to have lefties in your bullpen. You don't want to, head into battle without at least one. And I think a lot of teams would prefer to have 2 really competent guys. But I don't think they're going to treat it just as like, oh, we need to get a left-handed presence, so we're going to throw this guy in, even though we think this guy might be a little better. I think the word that Shelton used was it's still a meritocracy. And so if you get into a situation where none of those guys are really appealing, especially considering you might have to designate someone for assignment to get on the team, or you have someone that's already on the 40-man that's a righty, maybe they just go with the righty and kind of just figure out how to deal with things there. And I haven't looked at the, some of the splits with some of the right-handed guys. Maybe one or two of them might have reverse splits where they do well against lefties, but I wouldn't be shocked if that was the situation that we run into either, where maybe Jose Hernandez might be the only lefty that we have coming into the opening day roster. And then you kind of just figure out, how do you want to attack that to kind of make up for the absence of Jarlin Garcia.
I guess that makes sense.
You're allowed to speak.
All comes down on well, there's a guy I wanted to talk about, and I don't want to make this that guy type of podcast, but whatever. But no, I mean, it sounds like it's coming down to how deep the injury is. So if it's more long term, probably 60-day add someone. If not, you kind of feel the vibe that they might just work around it for the time being until he is back, and go from there.
Yeah, and I don't want to play doctor at all. Like, we don't know the severity of this at all. Like, if he can't grip a ball, like, yeah, that's one thing. But it is an odd, as I mentioned, it's kind of odd considering the shoulder and the elbow are intact as of right now. The results came back clean, and one of the things that Tomzik had mentioned as well is they're trying to further refine what that diagnosis is, because it doesn't sound like it's just a left arm tightness thing. If you're unable to grip a baseball, that doesn't just strike me as left arm tightness. And I don't think it strikes the Pirates as just left arm tightness either. And so right now it's kind of that matter of like, what actually is this? Like, what is the actual severity of what he might be dealing with, just because it is such an aberration from a medical standpoint. And so I don't want to kind of get too far ahead and, say like, oh, he might need a 60-day stint. But yeah, that's just kind of where we stand on everything. It is a bit of a murky situation. And I'm sure if the Pirates could draw it up, it wouldn't exactly look like this.
Right.
Real quick too. Reverse splits. Will Crow, huge reverse splits. 198 average versus lefties, 284 slugging versus lefties. So
I wonder how I might have to read up on this, honestly, but I wonder how sticky those are from year to year. Like in terms of like reverse splits from like righties to lefties. Like, I don't know if I wonder like how much that translate from like year to year, or if that's just like
good point.
Yeah.
So with Crow,
that's not
by
to
the way,
discredit it. It's just more so like I do wonder, like, if that's something that's constant, or does it kind of depend guy to guy?
So that was last year. Will Crow for his career, though, still reverse splits. So, I mean, he's been a reverse split guy his whole career.
More you know.
But one more thing for this situation.
Okay.
Sorry. It seems like just a feel that what's going to happen is we just wait around to opening day and end up picking up some DFA guy or some non-roster invite that gets left off. Feels like that's just going to be the scenario that plays out.
It could happen. Maybe they get into a scenario where like they see all these non-roster guys that are pitching, and maybe that none of them is appealing, or maybe one of them kind of earns that nod from the front office. It is just like such a sticky situation, because you don't know like exactly the specifics of how long he might be out and how long it's going to take him to pick up a baseball. Like hypothetically speaking, like he might be good for opening day, and then this whole conversation kind of becomes like a moot point. But it is very much like a wait and see, like see what the diagnosis is specifically and how long he might be out. See which one of these non-roster guys has that opportunity, steps up in the opportunity that they have. Rob Zastryzny is actually pitching for Team Canada in the World Baseball Classic, so that's going to be fun to see how he kind of responds in that environment. I'm sure it's a very odd environment, having to compete for a roster spot while also pitching in the World Baseball Classic. And he's not the only guy that's kind of dealing with that, but I think it's very much right now just a lot of wait and see. And I think these are things that the front office is, when Garcia went down there, that's when the cogs started turning on all these scenarios we're talking about.
We're still talking about like the fifth best reliever. Go ahead, DiNardo.
Yeah.
So. It is what it
No,
is.
and that's the thing. Like Jarlin Garcia, it's not as if we're not talking about Jarlin
Jarlin.
here. So like I get that too, but him being a lefty. But I did want to ask something. Jim's gonna kill me, and I don't care. This is great.
Oh no.
But we're talking about replacements and such. So when the signing happened, I had a little intrigue. And the reason I just say this was there's the eye rolls from Jim. From his Marlin days, I had like a little intrigue on him, and obviously we see he's nowhere, and that four seam gets hit hard. But when the Pirates did go ahead and sign Caleb Smith, I said, you know what? Oscar's going to give him a two-seamer, and he might be somewhat productive. So let me ask you this, because that's literally what they're doing. He's throwing the two-seamer now. The four-seam, I don't think he's thrown at all this spring, at least in games and such. So is there anything you're seeing? Is there any buzz, any talk about him? I mean, is there maybe something legit to Caleb Smith now as he's thrown the two-seamer?
Honestly, I haven't had. I'll be honest. I have not had an opportunity to dig into that much.
You're just like, it's Caleb Smith, and I don't care.
No, it wasn't that. It was like, I think if you guys have been following what I've been writing, I feel like I've been writing about something like new in some capacity. Like the newsletter that's going to come out tomorrow. It's like Triolo playing first base and Mike Burrow's working on a slider. And then in terms of stories, it's like Johan Oviedo's throwing a two-seam now, and Mitch Keller's throwing like the Euro slider.
Hero.
We'll just add Caleb Smith to that article too about throwing the two-seamer, and let's go with it because everyone's intrigued.
There's so many guys like throwing pitches.
Big
like
news.
it's like if you gave me a list of pitchers and you were like, pick one at random, it's like, is this guy throwing a new pitch? There's a good probability that he is. And so I haven't had the opportunity to talk with either him or Oscar about it specifically. But I guess now the next time I come on the podcast, I have something to talk about. Or maybe not. Maybe
listen, it's totally fair. I get it. I just had to ask the question because I do want to.
It's a lot of.
I have some intrigue on Caleb Smith. That's all. Fight me, Jim.
It's a lot of new stuff this spring. Like just off the top of my head, Brian putting on the 10 to 15 pounds, Jack Sawinski changing his stance, the pitches that I mentioned, Brew Baker's throwing he's modified his changeup grip. Who's playing new positions? I mentioned Triolo. Cal Mitchell told me that he was he was experimenting with first base in the offseason. Gorski and Andujar, some time at first base. Brian Reynolds, more time and left. Just like a lot of stuff. like I'm trying my best over here to try to document it. It's a lot of stuff. Like I might get to the end of spring and there might be like something that I still haven't touched upon. I'm trying over here.
I'm just going to say my one piece about Caleb Smith. In no way is a 31-year-old reliever who sucks intriguing to me. Like, it's not intriguing to me in any way. I don't care if he's throwing a new pitch. He's not good. We were at the game, DiNardo, when he gave up an absolute monster bomb to left field. Yeah, we were there. It was Sunday. Yeah.
No, that was his first appearance.
Pretty sure he gave up a 440-foot bomb.
Was that Caleb?
I do remember this happening.
I think it was. Okay. Yeah.
I remember very vividly watching Caleb Smith give up a homer. I kind of made a mental note of it when it happened. Also, stay with me here. Caleb Smith and Jigba.
Boom. Two-way player.
God, see,
we have an Otani at home, guys.
This is the type of stuff that I say to Alex every day. And when I say every day, I mean every day. Like I told like my goal with Alex is to make him want to quit the beat every single day that we're together. Like it'll be before a game. He'll like have his piece. Like he'll just be working on a story, working on the live file. And I'll just walk up to him. I'll put my hand on his shoulder and then just say the most out. It's something to that effect. And he says, I'm not talking to you for the rest of the day. Leave me alone, please.
So now we're getting to why Persac left.
This is the real reason. The real reason.
You know why he left.
No, it was because he was such a good reporter and Bob Nutting fired him.
No comment.
Dumbass. But anyway.
Was that
Was that person who said that? Was that dude who said that? It was.
Cornell? Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
It was.
Right.
I said my piece on that already.
Yeah. We don't need to talk about him on the podcast. But anyways, we'll move on. All right. So enough Caleb Smith. We can move on from him.
In Jigba.
Caleb Smith and Jigma.
We need to retire that. I'm mad that I even said that.
So I guess the next piece of news that we do want to move on to is the man that you forgot about. His name is Mark Mathias. He comes from the Texas Rangers. The Pirates did make a trade for him. So I guess let's just kind of talk about him because he's an outfielder. This team has a lot of outfielders. Don't know the quality of outfielders they have, but they have a ton of them. So I guess I'm kind of intrigued on like why this move was even made. Any of you guys have any idea?
We use the word intrigued again.
I'm intrigued why it was made. Yes, I'm not intrigued by him.
No,
I'm
you're right. It
intrigued
is
on
an
why was
interesting
made.
move. I think, and I mean, Justice, I'm sure you've talked to people about it today, but I feel like he's Connor Joe. Like he's maybe just another guy to push Connor Joe. I don't know. But this is the same team that acquired Josh Van Meter at the end of spring training last year. So what do I know?
Yeah, I was when that move was made, I was like when I saw that it was an outfielder, I admittedly kind of was wondering. I was scratching my head a little bit. Just because they have so many outfielders on the 40-man roster as is. I think maybe they're looking at this as an opportunity to acquire a guy within some intrigue, given that Max Kranick is going to have to go to the 6-day IL, and that does shore up the roster spot and provide more competition. But in terms of a deep dive, I'll be honest again, I have not had the opportunity to really do that today outside of a, skimming of his, Fangraphs page. I did see that he had some success in a small sample size last year, was able to, I think it was like 6 home runs, 3 steals in 30 games at the major league level. And, we didn't even have the opportunity to talk to Shelton about it because he doesn't do availability after road games and kind of get into the nuts and bolts of that. But again, it's one of those things when he gets into camp, kind of pick the brain of Shelton, see like why that move was made, kind of pick his brain a little bit, see what they've kind of told him in their conversation so far, just see where that's at. But in terms of the overall, dynamic of the bench competition, I still think that remains the same. This isn't to say that maybe he comes out of nowhere, just puts it together a hell of a spring and really shakes things up. But I think that overall the dynamic is kind of similar. And considering the fact that he's going to be on the 40-man roster, they don't have to do any, shuffling for the time being. So I also found out, again, the requisite Filipino American baseball writer on the Pittsburgh Pirates beat. I need to point out that he's also an Asian American, and this is really why this is the insight that you come to me for.
Yeah, I mean, I think when I saw the move, the first thing I did, I went to Fangraphs. I saw that same thing you did. Put up pretty decent numbers in a very limited sample size last season. Zips actually kind of likes him okay for this next year. 105 weighted runs created plus, 1.8 WAR. He DH'd more than anything else. He played some second, played some third, played some corner outfield, played some first base, but I'm not necessarily sure how good he is at any of that. But he kind of seems like just an overall utility guy. And I think more than anything, like I mentioned before, none of those bench guys have really put their best foot forward yet. They all have been struggling this first week and a half. So maybe this was just Cherington being like, hey, we need another person in this mix to either push everyone else. And so someone needs to step up eventually, or maybe this is the guy that they'll end up taking.
Yeah, it is a kind of speaking to the competition element of it. And I think, this kind of, being on here kind of coincides with me doing my updated opening day roster prediction, which kind of given the Garcia news gets shaken up a little bit. But, some of the guys that were in that mix, or at least the guys that I named off for this updated one, which was Connor Joe, Tyler Heineman, Kanan Smith-Njigba and Ji-Hwan Bae, like the kind of rough, it's been a very rough spring for Bae in particular. I think right now he is again, very small sample size, and you don't want to make determinations off like 7 games, but as of right now, he has a 206 OPS through I think 15 plate appearances, and that's OPS, not OBP. And if you kind of watched some of the plate appearance too, it's some of them just, in all honesty, just like have not been pretty. And so, and you also factor in, if we're going down to the non-roster guys like Chris Owings, by contrast, another guy that kind of fills that same role, is playing a lot of different positions, both infield and outfield. He's had a great spring. So that kind of shakes things up there. And then when you include Matthias in the mix, it's like, okay, this isn't there's nothing really definitive about the 4 guys that they're going to go with on the bench, both in terms of the catcher and the 3 position player guys. I think that Connor Joe is probably the closest thing to a lock there. But then you go from there, and it's a lot of, maybe if this guy does X, Y, and Z, and you can say that with a lot of different guys. And so I am definitely intrigued in the element of, the defensive versatility. I think that's just it feels like you can't like be in the competition for a bench spot on the Pirates right now if you don't play multiple positions, at least like either up the middle, like 2 of the up the middle spots, and like a corner outfield spot, or like a corner outfield spot and a corner infield spot. Is the versatility aspect is like always super fascinating to me, just because of like how guys go about preparing that. But to kind of give like a broader answer, like I'm very curious, like once he gets into camp, just kind of pick his brain a little bit and talk to Sheldon tomorrow and kind of pick his brain a little bit and just like see what like where he's at both as a player and where the kind of organization views him as a player as well.
Yeah,
this is a very long-winded way of just me saying like we'll see. It's a lot of just we'll see.
I think that's the thing. It's so early, like you don't have a true answer from it, but I think that's why we're all where we're at. It's not, I mean, this doesn't look like a definitive upgrade. So you're just adding to like this plethora of outfielders. So why do they need another one? And I guess again, like that's just kind of where I'm at. I mean, he's 28 years old, right? It's not as if he's 24 and he came in and had like his first season of just 91 plate appearances with a 132 WRC plus. Like he's 28. Like he's an old vet. He's older than most of these guys he's competing for. He's been more or less like a lifer in the minor leagues. So, and it's not like the Pirates clearly probably didn't give up much. Player to be named later, right? So just like kind of whatever, but that's how much the Texas Rangers valued him. And if he's just basically not like comparing apples to apples, but just like another Cal Mitchell or Swaggery or whatever, why add another one of those? I don't know. You might need a lefty reliever right now. Again, like the Josh VanMeter thing, like Josh VanMeter just didn't make sense. And this to me just doesn't make sense. Maybe there is a bigger picture. I don't know. But I think that's why we're all kind of rambling right now, because it doesn't make sense to us. There's nothing really to definitively say why he's here.
Well, Josh VanMeter made sense. They needed a third catcher.
And a reliever.
Oh, God. That day in Cincinnati, I think that game was like the 1 month mark of the season. I think it was like the exact 1 month mark of the season. And I remember so like vividly walking down to the clubhouse that day, and I was like, God, it has been 1 month. It's like, what is happening? I felt so bad for Will Crow during that outing too. Like he was lights out before VanMeter had to come in, and then it was like you kind of have to work around him, which what a moment. What a moment from the 2022 team.
Yeah, let's move past that.
Can we actually, one thing about this bench competition, because I don't think I gave him much credit going into this spring, but with the fact that everyone else has been playing pretty poorly, both offensively and defensively in the outfield, what are Travis Swaggerty's like real shot? Like, what's his shot at making this team? Like, is he really in the mix there for that last outfield spot?
I would say so. I don't think that there's like the Pirates have come to a definitive answer as to how the bench is going to form out as a whole, period. But, kind of who's going to really emerge there. And, I've talked about this, quite a bit on some of my, post-game videos, and I think I've written about it too. It's a very big spring for Swaggerty for a lot of different reasons. Got injured in 21, and when he was back in 2022, played, I want to say, over 100 games at AAA, and I think he had like a 737 OPS, which, if this is some guy that you want to see regular playing time at the major league level, that's, not that savory. It's I guess not funny enough, but interestingly enough, like he was someone coming out of college that was heralded for his bat, and now he's kind of, transitioned to like a defensive guy in a sense. And he had a really great 2-game stretch. I want to say it was a couple of days ago, hits the 3-run homer in Lakeland, and then throws a runner out the next day. And, having, really laying that foundation early, that's in terms of, the competition. That's a phenomenal thing. That's a good thing. That's what you want to do. But it's not just for the opening day roster too. It's also just, the element of staying on the 40-man roster, because, it might not, that timing might not come at the opening day time where, you're having this influx of young talent, but there's some guys that are not on the 40-man roster right now that are going to trickle onto the major league level at some point. We're talking about Henry Davis, Quinn Priester. Maybe there's a surprise in there as well. Maybe, Nick, I know Nick Gonzalez was very polarizing in the last podcast, but maybe Nick Gonzalez makes a jump at the plate. There's a lot of guys that could potentially force their way onto the 40-man roster. Maybe someone that's, not even in the organization right now. And when that time comes for someone to have to be DFA'd, if he doesn't show that he's made strides in spring and gets off to a very slow start for this season, he might have to be one of those guys. And, when guys get DFA'd, the common phrasing that gets brought up a lot is we just ran out of time with them. I remember with Cole Tucker specifically, like that was the phrase that they used. It's like, we just ran out of time with him, and it was time to.
They ran out of time like 3 years before they got rid of him.
That's neither here nor there. But, again, I wouldn't be, if you were to hand me like a list of 4 guys and say, these are what the 4 guys on the bench are going to look like, it wouldn't really surprise me. There's no one definitive that's really, stamped their case to be on that bench. And, I can see a scenario in which Swaggerty makes the opening day roster. I can see a scenario in which he doesn't.
I don't feel like the Pirates really love Swaggerty at this point, but I'm still a fan of him. I think the one leg up he has is he might be the only guy on this 40-man that can actually play center field.
I don't think that's unfair. I don't think that's unfair to say. But
I think too, when you look at the other people he's competing with for that last outfield spot, none of them are very strong defenders.
Mm-hmm.
And he does have that leg up over the rest of those guys.
Again, I would say that that's fair as well. When you talk like transitioning to, the guy that I kind of envisioned being that 4th outfielder, Kanan Smith-Njigba, who had the home run that wasn't today. I know that they don't televise the games in Sarasota. Do y'all know what happened? Should I just, for anyone that's listening, should I explain what happened?
Yeah, explain it.
Yeah, so it was he hits an opposite field home run that barely clears the left center field fence. And from my vantage point, I thought whoever was playing center field for the Orioles made the catch. I think Kanan did too. And because of that, I think he passed Swaggerty on the bases. But when when the center fielder comes down and it's like the ball's not there, everyone was just like, oh, that cleared the fence. Like no one really knew until the dude came down without the ball. And so you have the umpires signaling home run. And I'm like, oh, okay, Smith-Njigba just hit a 3-run home run. But then he starts walking back to the bench. I'm like, what the hell just happened? And then you kind of put the pieces together. So he hit a 3-run home run and he gets credited with a single and 2 runs driven in. So it's not like it's not for nothing. Like it counts for the batting average. Does not really translate in the OPS. I mean, it does, but it doesn't. But yeah, it was the 3-run homer that was. And so every time I write, Every time I write about Smith and Jigba this spring, and like if I write about him in the context of the opening day roster, I'm gonna say hit a 3-run homer. That just like have like a 50-word explanation and ruin the flow of my story entirely.
God.
We don't need to bring up the Cabrian Hayes thing.
I was gonna say, at least it happened in a spring training game and not in a regular season game. Jeez.
I will say the thing about it,
that's why Mark Mathias was added to the team today.
I will say, in all fairness, I don't think anybody. It was just really weird because I thought the center fielder made the catch, and I was just like in that moment to like you're tracking the guy, you see him hit the ground, like he hit the ground kind of hard too, like not as hard as like the outfielder and. I want to say it was the Panamanian outfielders who crashed into each other in the World Baseball Classic. I don't know if y'all saw that play, but it was dope as hell. So it wasn't quite that hard, but like he did hit the wall pretty hard. Now I can imagine like in that moment, just kind of like a lapse. But I mean, he'll be able to say he hit a homer. And kind of another thing that we talked about today with Shelton is they've been doing like a lot of, I don't know if it's a lot of, but they've been doing video footage or like video breakdowns on the Jumbotron at Lecom. And Shelton said, if you make a great play, you'll be highlighted on there. But if you also screw up, you will be highlighted there as well. And maybe that's one of those situations that gets highlighted in the not so great way.
Fair.
I'd count it. I'd personally count it as a home run, especially in a competition like this. I would just like scratch out that 0, write a little 1 in there.
No, I agree. If you're the Pirates, he hit the ball over the fence. He hit a homer. Yeah.
Which is something he needs to do more of. That will help him get a spot. But he also needs to not do the other thing. Like it's just a wash now.
Hey, he still gets credited with a hit, and he still drove in 2 runs. So it's not a complete wash, but yeah. To kind of transition into like a broader, conversation about Smith and Jigba and why like he was like my 4th outfielder in like the latest prediction. I think the biggest thing that was so appealing to me is that I think the on base ability is going to translate. I'm trying to figure out if I should share this excerpt or not because I'm going to write it in a story. It's a fun excerpt, which might be my lead.
You should.
I'll do it. Whatever. Who cares? So one of his favorite players growing up, I was asking like, do you have any like on base influences growing up? And the 2 players that he mentioned were David Ortiz and Michael Young, but specifically Ortiz. And I joked with him. I was like, have you ever done the thing that Ortiz did that one time where like it's a 3-0 count, the pitch is about to be thrown and you're walking to first base? He's like, yeah, I've done that a couple times. And I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, you can ask my teammates. And I was like, has anyone ever given you crap for that? And he was like, nah, my teammates know that when I start walking, I know what I'm seeing. It was something to that effect. But, it was, again, super small sample size. But when he was up with the team for the 3 games before he broke his wrist, he was on base every single game. I think this spring, his OBP has got to be in like the shut up. His OBP has got to be in like it's got to be in like the 400 range. I want to say in like the 430, 440 range, considering he had the homer that wasn't today. In the game, I want to say it was yesterday, he had one of like my favorite like nerdy baseball outcomes, which is a 6-pitch walk where he didn't swing, which like as a baseball, this is a side tangent. As a baseball community, I'm speaking to the baseball community right now. We need a name for this. I vote to call it like the Votto for right now was like a placeholder name, but like we need a name for like a 6-pitch walk where someone didn't swing. It's too cool of a thing to like. We have names for everything.
I like the motto. I think it's a good one.
Let's get that trending.
There's also who's the guy with the Mets that's just not swinging this spring?
Oh, that's to do with the Dodgers. Vargas.
Or is it Dodgers?
Yeah, Miguel Vargas.
Yeah, but he's not swinging because he can't swing. But like that would be fun. A Vargas.
Something tells me though, if you're not swinging at 6 pitches, right? But you want to name it something. It kind of reminds me of someone who's probably not that good. Like that's why it's getting recognized. Because if you're good, you're swinging, right? You're hacking up there. Kind of sounds like someone who's maybe trying to get off the bench, have the coach put him in. So maybe we should call it the Fogarty.
Jeez.
Thank you for having me. That was fun.
No, not the
Nah,
Fogarty?
we should name it after. Remember that one like super short dude. This was like in the black and white color era when when that's when photos like it was like this dude that was like 3 feet tall. I think it was a kid.
Mhm. Yeah.
I think he walked on 4 pitches. I don't think he swung once. We should name it after whoever that was. He's probably dead. R.I.P.
Yeah, I think that was like a Bill Veck thing where he was just like, let's just have some fun.
Oh, the legend. Was he 10 cent beer night and disco night? Same person?
He everything that basically either was good or bad, it was him. Yeah.
God, could you what would be the equivalent of like a disco night in this era? What would be the equivalent? What are we blowing up?
Bruce Springsteen night.
Ooh, what are we blowing up? Yeah.
Because like what the disco night happened when like disco was dying, right?
Yeah. Like they were like declaring disco dead.
So what is dying? What is dying right now?
90s hip hop.
Nah, 90s hip hop is forever. De La Soul is here to stay like racism.
Cable. Everybody bring their cable boxes.
RSN night.
RSN.
What is like dying right at Twitter? We can
Country.
blow up Twitter. We can put like blow up a giant bird.
Yeah, Elon.
Elon, the goat. Goat of all goats. The legend. Gonna fumble $100 million because he had to get them tweets off. Legend.
I like
Yep.
Kenny's boy band night.
Please know I'm saying that ironically for everyone that's listening. Oh God. What a guy. Totally worked for everything he had in his life. Came from the gutter. Stephen A voice. I came from the gutter, says Elon Musk. Ignore the emerald mines.
No, not at all. Anyway, let's do something here. And Anthony makes up a good point, right? Which this is spring training, and it seems like most of the main guys have their spots. And as he says, we haven't talked about anyone who's going to get 100 at bats or 30 innings pitched this year. And I get it, but right, that's like all these battles coming from. So maybe we should transition a little bit. So I do have a couple questions that I want to ask. I know Jim had one too, but something I saw about now. You mentioned his name, Brian Hayes. He hasn't been in a whole lot of games. Is there anything more to that, or just, hey, you're a vet, we want to get some looks at other guys right now? Because what's it been like 3, maybe 4 games he's played this year?
I have noticed that. Like, I think it was today actually when like I saw that Castro was in at third. I was like, Brian has not played a whole lot this spring. Again, I think for me personally, when it comes to things during spring training, like I kind of take them with a grain of salt, and like I really wait for things to kind of material. Like I feel like just because we're mentioning this, he's gonna start tomorrow. Like I think that's how it's gonna go. To my knowledge, there hasn't been anything kind of going on with him. When we talked with Tomzik, like he usually breaks down the injuries, like any guys that like have notable injuries. Something that I actually forgot to tweet out, which I probably should. I'll make a quick update on Termar. They envision his recovery being a 6-week process. He's on week 2.5 right now, and it's the whole make sure he's healthy so he can play a duration of games for the season. But as far as Cabrian, I don't think that there's a particular ailment. Like if he doesn't play over the next 2 days, then it's like that's something to keep out for. But I don't think there's anything, at least to my knowledge, as of right now, that's ailing Cabrian. Cool. But that's what we asked the manager for.
Do you notice him hanging around McCutchen at all? Like extra? This is a question for me and Donardo.
Not particularly, because I think position groups tend to hang out with position groups. So that's kind of how it go. I guess this is kind of a fun, let's transition to like a fun excerpt. When they were taking batting practice, I think 2 days ago, I wandered out to the boardwalk and I was just sitting in right field, and Chavez was talking to McCutchen, and I forgot who hit it, but someone like hit a home run that was like past my reach, and I made the most like ill like that was my attempt to catch it, and Chavez turned around and was like, he like threw his hands up, he's like, make a play, and I was like, I don't have a glove, dude, I'm not making a play right now. But nah, I haven't seen too much of them together, but that's typically because it's the position groups are bunched together. Something that I did see today that was interesting to me was during ground, and I don't want to, make anything like crazy out of it because it's just spring training, and we kind of know that this guy's role in particular. But Santana was taking grounders at short. He wasn't taking grounders. He was just like there with he's just there with Cruz. He had his first base mitt on. Like this was not serious at all. Like he just took one for fun. But their lockers are right next to each other. If not right next to each other, they're really damn close to each other. So, we talk a lot about the, having the veteran influence and, just purely in terms of observation, they've spent a lot of time together. And again, it makes sense because they're infielders, but it's also the element of, Santana mid-30s, pretty much seen everything in this game. Cruz has a lot to see. So it's kind of an ideal pairing.
Nice.
Sorry. Along the same lines, now you're good. A lot that is interesting because we've talked a lot about just the veteran presence that's in camp now, as opposed to previous seasons. So it's nice to see that, you're noticing the veteran presence actually, having some sort of an effect. Not really an effect, but like it's actually in practice.
Yeah. And when it comes to the veteran stuff, like that is stuff like I like to actually observe over a course of time, as opposed to just saying like, oh, because they signed a guy that's older, he's like automatically going to be like a positive veteran. Like you could hypothetically sign someone like, do we think that like end of his career, Barry Bonds was really like giving mentorship to a lot of people? Like no.
No, but he was getting on base at like 400 clips. So
480 in his last season.
500 clip. Yeah.
480 in his last season still has not been replicated since he retired. I digress. But yeah, like it's one thing to like hear people talk about it. It's another thing to see that. And that was like when I wrote about Rich Hill and Johan Oviedo and the moment they shared, that was because like I actually saw that. And so like, I don't want to beat the dead horse of like mentorship, because I think, after pretty much like every guy that they signed that had played more than like 5 major league seasons, it was like mentor. Mm-hmm. So like, I do like to see that stuff, but they have, in the time that I've been around, they have spent a decent amount of time together. And it was fun. Just, I asked Santana, I joke with Santana. I was like, you playing shortstop now? He's like, not really.
I mean, he's had the versatility over his career.
This is true.
But no, yeah, he can't play short.
Wait, can I? Wait, that reminds me. This is just a funny excerpt. It was before like an availability that we had. I forgot what prompted it, but I showed Shelton a photo of me when I was a freshman in high school. Like I wasn't even 5 feet tall yet. I think I've showed y'all the photo of my first day of high school. I was skinny as hell.
So 3 years ago
whatsoever. Yeah, 3 years ago. And I showed it to him, and then I showed him I don't think I showed y'all the baseball one. I'm going to show y'all the baseball one. I know exactly where it is in my photo album, but I showed him the baseball one. And again, it's the same thing, like super skinny, super small. Here's the baseball one. Here's the fun one first. Here's like the you are 5 years old one first. Freshman year. And then here is the
Wait, that was freshman year.
And then here is the we about to go 3 for 3 with 2 steals and three scoreless innings.
Was that sophomore year?
That's freshman year, same year. Yeah, and I showed Shelton that photo, and he's like, "What position you playing?" And I said, "Short." I said that confidently. He just like looked at me. He's like, "You sure about that?" And I was like, "I can play short. That's where I played. That's where I played. I played short. I played second. I played center. I was dabbling in super utility before we had a
Ben's about to pick you up. Don't say that too loud. You might have a glove next time. Chavez.
I've been staying in shape. Y'all are gonna see me hit that 65 before I'm out of here. I've been staying in shape, staying in baseball shape. I haven't picked up a bat in like a year, but I'm trying.
We need a beat writer home run derby at LeCom.
Give us some. Give me like the orange BB core. Give me. Nah, I'm not gonna be confident enough to say I could hit one out. I could.
BB core has come a long way.
You can hit one out of Lecom with a metal bat.
It's
I
not
think
aluminum bats, though.
I think if we went back and you gave me from the time that I got here, so February 14th, if we went back from February 14th, you say after every day of work, you're going to take your 100 swings in the cages. You're going to get used to like what it is again. We're going to give you this BB core too. The ball's going to be flying off your bat. You're going to be in the weight room. Here's your creatine. Here's your protein powder. If we had done all of that and you put me in that batter's cage, I think I might be able to hit one out of the infield.
I think I could hit one over the fence with a fungo.
I've always wanted to swing a fungo. They look fun to swing.
Oh, they're fun.
We all know Tyler can hit a home run off of Kyle Hendricks.
Yeah, Tyler thinks he can
take
a major league pitcher deep.
I didn't. Well, that part was joking.
No,
I do think I could put the ball in play against Kyle Hendricks.
Nah.
You
We're not
said
gonna do this.
We
We ain't gonna do this. We ain't gonna do this.
You said
We ain't
hit the
doing
home
this.
That was.
We ain't
I was
doing
like
this.
26 then. Now I'm almost 30. I'm out of my prime.
you're just entering.
My brother in Christ, were you ever in your prime?
Yeah, back when I was going to hit bombs off Kyle Hendricks, dude.
Right. Hey, man, we can't have the back in my day when I was throwing the ball over them there mountains.
No.
We can't be doing that, man.
I'm pretty sure you said this too, like the year after he won the ERA title.
And
That man is. Are you a lefty or a righty?
I'm a lefty.
Oh, that changeup would have had you in hell, brother.
No way.
You would have been ducking out of this. You could.
The changeup's the only way I'm hitting it because that's coming in at 75. That's nothing. I'll go Oppo Taco.
Let me give you. Here's a secret. I don't know if you know this about changeups. But changeups move.
Yeah.
They
Over the
move.
fence off
They
my
move.
bat.
Oh my god! I want this to happen now. Like I need to find.
We need to find Kyle Hendricks.
Make it happen.
I am basically that little chubby kid from the Little League World Series. I hit dingers.
Nah, what we need to do, the person we need to get is Zach Greinke, because I don't know if y'all saw his at bat against Vargas when like he knew Vargas wasn't swinging, and he was like, "I'm gonna throw a 60-mile-an-hour pitch just right down the middle, like the meatball to end all meatballs," and he's just like couldn't swing at that. I want that version of Zach Greinke to go up against you, just like curveball included, and just see what happens.
I mean, Zach Greinke's good. I wouldn't touch him. Kyle Hendricks.
He won the ERA title.
Not at that
right.
point in time when I said I'd take him deep.
No, I'm pretty sure he did.
No,
I want you to pitch. I want you to hit against some of like the veterans they be pulling in like banana ball, because some of those dudes can still throw.
Yeah, that's up. That's better velocity. Kyle Hendricks didn't throw hard.
Why are we acting like this is coming down to just velocity?
Okay.
I got time.
Yeah, because you said this in 2020. Because that when you first came on.
Sure.
When you and Jim first came on was in 2020. Kyle Hendricks had a 2.88 ERA. No, it wasn't the ERA title. That was actually in 16. But the dude legit had a 2.88 ERA.
Yeah, 2020. I would have
Ninth
been like,
in Cy Young voting.
and
Tyler's taking yard.
I've thought about this like
back in my day, I would have.
Scenarios like, could you get a yard in the NFL? Could you make contact off a major league pitcher? Could you like get a bucket, or like could you get a rebound in the NBA? And like the ego in me wants to be like, yeah, I played. If you gave me 6 months, reality is hell no. They if I would try to get behind the line of scrimmage, they'd kill me. They would send all out blitz and they would kill me. If I got in the batter's box against a major league pitcher and say this dude's gonna try to make contact against you, they're gonna start off one by brushing me back, scare the hell out of me.
I'll be fine.
I want to arrange this now.
We should.
I want to see who
We're down there in 2 weeks. We need to get.
I don't know who I can call about this.
Anybody.
Honestly, what I would love to do, face me, bro. Face me.
Easy.
Oh, that would be fun.
Easy work.
We could do that on a field of Pirate
here's
City.
The thing about this, though.
Backfield of Pirate City.
Here's the thing, though. This can't be like a 2-week thing, because if I try to throw like full tilt in 2 weeks, I'm gonna kill my arm.
I'll throw against you. My arm's good.
You've
You've been throwing for how long now?
Bro, the arrogance,
3 months
bro, the arrogance.
To be fair, I've been throwing for 3 months now.
The arrogance. I want you to throw. Johnny Damon was just playing banana ball. Go pitch against him.
Right.
Go,
Oh man, the curveball's nasty. Don't touch it. But in all seriousness, I would put a ball in play against 49-year-old Jamie Moyer.
No.
You're down to Jamie Moyer now.
At this point in my life, yeah.
This is not happening. This is not happening.
49-year-old Jamie Moyer, when he was with the Rockies, I'm putting the ball in play.
He's
I'm not
probably
putting the
busting
ball
out every single curveball that he has. He's busting out every single breaking ball in his. Why you mean an as if that's not a part of his repertoire? He's not. He's not giving you anything.
I'm sitting
straight.
on it. I'm a lefty. I'll just bloop. Easy.
How do y'all put up with this?
You know, he's a lefty too.
Was he a lefty? I can't remember.
Yeah.
Oh, whatever.
You're not touching 49-year-old Jamie Moyer.
Oh yeah, I am. He was throwing 78, dude. Come on. Easy work. Give me 10 at bats. I'm putting one in.
By the way, 60 now. Jamie Moore is about to be 61 this year in November. He's gonna be 61 years old, guys.
I saw something weird. I actually saw something weird on Facebook. It was like Nolan Ryan played with Jamie Moyer, and Jamie Moyer played with DJ LeMahieu. So it goes back that deep, from like 1966 to now.
Oh, there was that one where it's like Ivan Rodriguez has caught both Nolan Ryan and Steven Strasburg.
Yeah.
Stuff
You
like
can
that
get some
wild.
crazy connections with like dudes that have played in the league for hella long.
Cologne was another one where, I mean, he played until he was what, 44, 45?
He's still pitching.
That long, but yeah, he's
He's
still
still
in his
pitching
like living
somewhere.
room.
Speaking
In his house, he's throwing into a net right now.
I'd probably.
Yeah,
put a ball in
Bartolo
play
pitched.
against
Oh yeah, it
him.
was till 45.
just
Back
the
in 18.
arrogance, man. The arrogance.
All I'm saying, I'd put a ball in play. I'm not even saying I'd take him deep.
Yeah, that's the arrogance. Like major league hitters can't put a ball in play.
I could. Maybe I should be a major league hitter.
What else do we got to talk about? Man? What is I'm losing my
Show's
mind
off
over
the
here. What has
rails.
happened? Shout out to Sung-Chi Chang, single in the World Baseball Classic for Chinese Taipei. We need to like divert away from this. A guy that I would trust 1,000 times more to make contact against a major league pitcher.
Team
I cannot
affiliation.
express how much I would trust Sung-Chi Chang more to make contact than you.
Oh, I'll make contact all day.
What else is there to talk
let's
about, man?
let's move on. How about Brian Reynolds? Brian Reynolds finally got his first appearance in center field yesterday. What's going on there? Is Brian Reynolds a left fielder? Is he going to play there some of the time? Is he going to play center field some of the time? What's going on?
Yeah, going back to last fall, it is so funny just how my tone changes depending on what I'm talking about. But
now you're
going back to
serious justice.
going back to last fall, I think it was at the end of the year. The one game, it was after the one game that Reynolds had played in left field, and one of the things that Shelton had said then was that the organization still views him as a center fielder. Now, the first, couple games when he would only make appearances in left field and it was Sawinski in center, that's when I was like, huh. Interesting. But that being said, to kind of provide some context to this, after the very first game when they ran that alignment, that was Sawinski in center, Reynolds in left, and McCutcheon in right, I'd asked Shelton, like, is this a configuration we can see? Not necessarily the configuration. And the point that Shelton made, which kind of, subdued, my thoughts about this being a real thing, not to say it's not a real thing, is that Sawinski did not play a lot of center field last year. I want to say it was like only 100 innings. And they wanted him to play in center field early on in spring to get him acclimated. Side note, the sun at Lecom Park has had Jack Sawinski in hell. Like, it's had a lot of people in hell,
Everybody,
but it's had Jack Sawinski in particular. I've seen like 2 fly balls where like he's fighting for his life. I think he might have even had one at Lakeland too, if I remember right. If someone wants to look that up, the game they had against the Tigers, like someone hit a double, like a ground rule double. to
He
whoever
also
was
had an
left
issue
field.
in left field yesterday too.
Yeah, it is just not a
Yeah.
fun time. Yeah, that's the one I
No.
was alluding to. It's not
Yeah.
a fun time to be an outfielder at Lee Common. You almost have to have a mulligan when it comes to that. But kind of going back to the overall point, they wanted to play him in center, just give him some opportunities to get some reps out there, considering he didn't have a lot of game reps last year. And, there was never like a, hey, Jack Sawinski is going to be the center fielder. It was never, hey, Brian Reynolds is going to be the left fielder. So when it was like the third game where it was Reynolds in left, Sawinski in center, my mind kind of went to, okay, this might be a thing, but I'm gonna wait on it. I'm gonna wait on it. I remember what Shelton said and how they want to get Sawinski in center, and then lo and behold, Reynolds is back in center field and Sawinski's back in left now. I do think that we could see more of Reynolds in left field compared to center field compared to last season. One of the reasons being that they have a couple guys that can play center field, Jack Sawinski and Ji-Hwan Bae come off the top of my head, Travis Swaggerty potentially if he's in that equation. But also the other factor when it comes to playing center field is that it's just a lot more physically laborious than playing either of the corners. If a ball is hit to left field, you got to go there. If the ball's at the right field, you got to go there. Whereas if you're in the corners, like if you're in left field, it hits the right field, whatever. Like I'm chilling here, just like Brian Hayes was chilling when he was having his sunflower season. Okay, I want this to be on record too. I do not care that happened. I don't.
Yeah.
Like it was.
I don't think any of us do.
I want that on wax. That like it was blown out of proportion. It is so dumb. I do like he was the best defensive third baseman in baseball.
I don't think any of us even cared
cares?
about.
I just want that to be known. I want that on wax. But, center field is a lot more physically laborious, especially when you get to the summertime. And so getting him an occasional game in left field where the defensive metrics have been solid for him, getting him that occasional game and designated hitter as well, just get him off his feet. And I'm not going to say that it's going to translate to some like crazy jump offensive production wise, but it helps to just, not have to deal with the grind of center field. And I wouldn't be shocked if there's a scenario where, again, limited sample size with this, but Sawinski, I think he had one defensive run saved and one out above average in the 100 innings that he was there. And again, very limited sample. You got to see a lot more of it to have any real determination of that. But, the Pirates have a lot more information that's accessible to them compared to us. StatCast does have the ability to track how outfilders kind of track fly balls, whether they're forward, backwards. Shout out to Alex. I know I was just joking about him, but like Alex, like I give Alex his flowers on this. Like he's so good when it comes to breaking down this stuff, and he broke it down to me. And Reynolds, good coming into balls that are hit in front of him, not so great the ones behind him. So maybe there's some configuration there. But to the overall point, I wouldn't be surprised if we see more Sawinski in center this season, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see more Reynolds in left. But I still think the organization views Reynolds as a center fielder and Sawinski as someone to man those corners, but someone that can play center as well.
So if you're going to sign Brian Reynolds to an extension in his like mid-30s, right now is probably the time you want to save those legs, maybe move him a little bit to left field, DH. If you're going to have him in his mid-30s, maybe not a bad idea. So are you saying extension's coming?
You don't see, I'm going to put my microphone right here. I'm reaching for my microphone right now. I'm reaching for it. Reaching. My man is. There's a lot happening right now, man. There's a lot.
I think that's what he's saying, Tyler. Justice just confirmed it.
I didn't confirm nor deny anything.
We don't put words in people's mouths on this show at all, ever.
No, we've never done that.
Never.
Nope.
Never.
MLB.com reports.
MLB.com reports.
That's our lead for this show. So we've shared on this show together.
Yeah.
You give us your lead, and now we're giving you our lead.
Don't steal that. That's confidential. My leads are. I'm gonna make y'all sign an NDA after this.
Okay.
Us and everyone who watches this. Yeah.
We'll put it in our newsletter, what you just said about Brian Reynolds. You go ahead and put it in your article that I can hit a dinger off of Kyle Hendricks. We'll call it even.
Sounds fair.
I want to see you like
Very
try to hit a
reasonable.
dinger off. I legitimately want to see you try to hit a dinger off like some of these crazy like 8th graders that are like already throwing 80. I want to see that.
I can't hit a dinger in general at this point.
IMG Academy is right there. Let's do it.
I
Off
can.
any of them
I
kids.
said earlier I can
That's
hit one
true.
with a fungo. That's it.
I want to see you try to hit a home run off Andy Rodriguez throwing left-handed. That's what I want to see. I don't know if y'all like
Wait, is that a thing?
See,
Yeah.
someone read my article.
I
Someone
read it, yeah.
clicked the headline. If you look in the
I
article,
don't prepare for shows.
I was talking to Henry, and he was just like, "Yeah, Andy can throw left-handed," and I was like, "He can throw left-handed," and he was like, "Yeah, there's nothing that dude really can't do." So
Yeah, if you read any Henry Davis articles, I'm going to read them. So, yeah, you're good.
I appreciate.
And I'll
all
be
my
honest,
reading.
I saw the article and I wanted to talk about the article tonight and I forgot to read it. And that's why I forgot to bring it up tonight. Just to be honest, I'll be very transparent in that sense. I did see it though, so I'll read it afterwards.
As long as you saw it.
Okay,
I will read it.
headline skimmer.
But no, that is very intriguing. I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
when he
So
said
let's
that,
set-
when he
let's
said
set
that, I was
up.
like not surprised because there's like Anthony Rendon hit a homer left-handed like last year. Like these dudes are super talented beyond like comprehension. Like some of the stuff they can do, just like that we don't see. Like Mookie Betts has bowled a perfect game and can dunk. Like I'm not really
Let's
shocked.
not
with, like,
talk about Mookie. Mookie's just he's a
Yeah,
freak.
Mookie's pretty crazy. G-Man Choi hit a home run right-handed. That
He
was
did.
either last year or 2 years ago.
I don't think that's gonna happen again. I don't think. I'm pretty sure he said he's not gonna hit right-handed. I think that's the thing. But
Yeah.
these dudes are like, that's what I'm saying. When you think that you can step up to the plate against the dude, trying to make contact, I don't know, man. Like I think if you went up against a major league pitcher, they would like start whipping out some pitches that they don't like. You don't even know they have. Like
Yeah.
they would just start like trying stuff out.
Yep. Bloop, bloop, all day. I'm probably getting the second with the speed. I'll probably just steal.
We're not talking
Stealing.
about stealing. This was never about stealing.
Yeah, but I'll get the first. Like I'll hit a single and then I'll just steal second.
Okay. Anyway, someone was asking
Tyler
about.
made
I haven't.
Hayes over
I have
here.
not ran in like 5 years. I'm
Someone,
not stealing anything.
someone was asking about Davis and Rodriguez. Whoever had that question, please ask it.
I don't feel like you're enjoying my conversation here.
My man said he could steal a base, single.
Tyler's
You
giving
guys
us all
thought-
free tacos.
You guys
next
thought
year.
that Jim spoke in hyperbole.
Yeah, seriously. I've never said any of that. I
know.
will say the one thing that I am super confident on, and this is kind of along the same lines, is I could 100% land like a 737 jet.
Don't they just kind of land themselves?
Exactly. Like that's what I'm saying. So I think I could sit there and I could follow the instructions that air traffic control is giving me, and I could definitely do it.
This is gonna go very, very bad because Jim's had some terrible luck right now on his flights. Like I just see Jim like hijacking his ex flight. Like I'm getting my ass home.
Yeah, don't get on any
we got
no-fly
it from here.
list.
The
I can
professional
land
got
this
it from
shit.
here.
Trust
No.
me.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, if something were to happen, they were like, "Are there any pilots on this plane?" I would let a pilot do it first. But if there were no pilots, I'd be like, "I'm not a pilot, but I think I could do it."
That's like if someone was like, "Do we got a doctor on this plane?" and it's like a doctorate in math. It's like, yeah, bruh, no.
That's not even a doctor in math.
It's like a chiropractor.
It's a doctorate in communications. Damn,
Jim
now
has
I'm trying to
zero.
like I'm trying to think now of like what is like my overconfident thing. Like what is the thing like?
I thought I could do a podcast, and I still can't. So that's what I thought I could do.
I don't even. This isn't like the most like fun one in the world, but like I'm gonna bring it up because we're approaching the 20th year anniversary. But like I think if you put me in like one of the Brewers sausage races and you were like everyone's got to go full tilt, I think I could win that. Like if it was actually like y'all got to go full tilt, I think I could win that.
Got to watch out for Randall Simon.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get into the pierogi race. I'm trying to like sneak my way in there. I'm trying to get into a costume and just like I want to just like dust like I was sad that like last year, like last race of the season, like I just wanted them to turn on the burners. Just like
I wanted Saul to win a race. Like just
no,
one.
no,
Nah,
scrub.
I wanted him to win the last
He's-
race.
Dude, he's so bad they didn't even bring him down here. That's how trash he is. Soft, sorry. How many synonyms do I have?
Yeah,
Sad.
they really need to bring back Potato Pete.
Bring him back.
Speaking of 20-year anniversaries, was that his first time with the Pirates or the second time?
Simon?
Potato Pete?
Yeah. Randall Simon.
I have no clue.
Because that's going to be a 20-year anniversary, I think. 2003, he was with the Pirates, and then in 2004. Well, I guess.
Yeah,
So
I don't know when the sausage
his
incident
first year?
was.
or a
I
second,
think it was his
because
first year.
that could be the
Yeah,
20-year
yeah,
anniversary of
look it
that
up.
coming up too. Keep that in mind, Jim. TikTok boy.
That also means it's going to be the 23rd anniversary of the totally good Aramis Ramirez trade.
Yeah.
Just
Thanks.
like 4.
July 9th, 2003.
5. I was
There it
5.
July 9th, 2003. Randall Simon hits sausage.
For the record, also, if they were to create a position in the NBA where my only job were to shoot free throws for technicals, I'd have a job.
For
Guaranteed.
technical.
Yep. If they would create a job where the only thing you had to do was there's a technical foul, pick someone to go shoot, I'd have a job in the NBA.
Someone pull up my jump shot video. I tweeted it out. Someone pull up my jump shot video. It's somewhere out there. I don't know what you have to search.
I would shoot 90% from the line easy.
Let me try to find mine.
There's
Let's
no
dissect-
way.
If my only job is to shoot free throws, I'm
Nine-
shooting 90%. You're looking at the Knights of Columbus, district champion of the free throw competition, 7th and 8th grade. You're welcome.
This is turning into like such like the like back in my day when I was in that's what
You're
this is
welcome.
turning into.
It's terrible.
This
Okay.
is what this is turning into.
Fine, I will ask a real question to Justice about baseball.
Allegedly.
All right, so what I think is the laziest thing ever right now is everybody giving their breakout candidates an article. And have you done it yet, Justice?
Have I done like breakout candidates?
Yeah.
I did it in like a newsletter in the winter.
Okay, you did it a while ago, but everybody loves to do it like right now. Just throw a bunch of names at the wall and pick their breakout. So I'm not going to ask you that, but who's the guy you looked at that you weren't really thinking of? You're like, that guy's kind of a dude.
Caleb Smith.
In terms of guys to make the opening day roster, or just guys
like you look
in general?
Just guys in general you look at, you didn't really think of before you looked at him. You're like, he's kind of a dude. Or do the Pirates not have one of those?
It's not that so much. It's like when I think of guys that are in camp, like I think I've had like a pretty. I think I could honestly, if you asked me to name all 59 guys, I might be able to. I'm not going to do that. I'm not doing it right now. But like in terms of guys that like might be those sleepers, like Jared Jones, like he was already someone that was on my radar, like Matt Gorski and Andres Alvarez. That's 2020 guys from last season. Yeah, I think it's less from like me being shocked, and it's more like I think I came into camp already like knowing the kind of 4-1-1 on some of these dudes. I wish I had an opportunity to see Jaron Jones pitch in person though. Like when going back to like last winter, like when because it was something that I put in my newsletter. He was my guy for like breakout candidates. Just like I hadn't had the opportunity to see him pitch in person yet, but like when I was reading up on the stuff and seeing like I think he was pitching in Greensboro last year, which as we all know, it's not the greatest environment for pitchers in the world. And so I was just very infatuated by the raw stuff that he had. And, you know, I wish I got to see that in person. Kevin Sanchez.
Lolo.
Oh, God. Here we go.
I just wanted to say it. Say it. I didn't tweet this out, but in Tagalog, that's the language of the Philippines. Lolo is grandpa, and when I found out this was after I found out his name was. I told him that, and I was like, I'm gonna start calling you Grandpa Sanchez now, and he laughed. And so I'm not deeming him that, but it got the Lolo Sanchez stamp of approval. I'm still trying to think, man. Like, I'm kind of stumped on like guys where I was like,
Or like maybe even someone that just kind of confirmed your previous bias of them.
I think seeing like Jared Jones is like bullpen. I think that's the thing that was interesting to me. Well, okay, one does come to mind. And it wasn't so much like, like that's brand new, but it's actually two guys, and this is funny because it's going to overlap with two guys that Jason wrote about today, but Holderman and Burrows. I had known that Burrows was like super cerebral, like when he was like really breaking down like pitching. Like I was asking him about his slider, and he was like, it has plus, I think he said it has like +2 horizontal, like it was like, I'm forgetting the numbers, but he had his vertical and his horizontal. And I was just like, how do you know that off the top of your head? Like, why do you know this? And then kind of the same thing with Holderman, just like his, like how he processes things. Like what was super infatuating to me, that was another guy that's throwing new pitches.
Holderman spent some time at Driveline this offseason, I think I recently saw.
He did. And what was super infatuating is that he effectively threw two versions of his slider last year, one of which was like more of a sweeper, one of which was more of like, it acted more like a cutter. So he essentially just like took those and threw them in completely different directions. Like they went in completely different directions. That one that was a little harder just turned into a cutter. The one that was a little like had more horizontal movement turned it into a sweeper. So that was one, like those were two guys were like in talking with them again this spring. It was just like to pick their brains and just like see like how they process things. Rich Hill, that's another one. Like he kind of had that reputation already, but again, like similar guy, like I'll ask him a question and he'll talk for 2-3 minutes and just like really get into the nuance of it. Vince Velasquez is another guy. Like the way that Vince Velasquez, like we talked to him today after his start, and the way that he, really processes how his start goes, the intricacies of it, what he was doing well, what he wasn't doing well, and just like the nuance that he kind of approaches things with. And some of this stuff isn't even things that we talked about on the record, but just like him as a person. Like you don't really know these guys until you have the opportunity to talk with him or to talk with them. But when I was just kind of shooting the shit with him and I was just, getting to know him as a person, like the way that he processed things, even something just like as simple, like even simple things. I'm being very vague because I don't want to blow up his spot, but the way that he processed things and like was reflective on them, that was very interesting to me as well. So I would say those are the guys that have made an impression on me, and not necessarily things that, you can directly see in a box score on StatCast. But that being said, throwing 99, Jared Jones, that's going to get my attention.
How much are you guys being paid for the propaganda of Vince Velasquez? Because every single beat writer we have on is like just parading around Vince Velasquez. Meanwhile, Jim's making insulting TikToks about him.
I did do that today. Yeah.
Oh God. He pitched well today. 3 stars.
No, he pitched well today. Yeah.
He pitched well today. Yeah, it is. I've gotten the sense that he is like mentally, taking that step forward, like not even just like as a pitcher, but as a person. That's kind of like the sense that I've gotten from him. Yeah.
I hope you guys are right, because if not, we're just gonna trash you all.
Yeah. I mean, the thing with
trash you,
the thing with me, like kind of my, and this is honestly gonna veer into like my like approach to the job as opposed to just like pure baseball, but like the way that I look at writing, God, this is really going to turn into a writing workshop, but we're going to go here. This is going to sound really weird. I try not to write about baseball. Like I will write about baseball, but like it's understanding that like not every story is baseball. It's understanding that like every single person in this organization, like top to bottom, like these are people that have stories, and it is like kind of our job to like unturn these stones. Like the one that I wrote about Chase DeYoung, it had a mention of baseball, but like that's not like a baseball centric story. This is like him as a person, like Drew Maggi. Like this is like, it's about baseball, but this is about like him as a person. And that's the type of stuff that appeals to me, like as a reader. Like it is cool to like talk about like O'Neal Cruz hitting like 130 exit velocities and throwing the ball like 120 miles an hour. Like that stuff's cool. Like I would love writing about that. I love writing about a swing change. I love writing about a different pitch. But I also love like unturning these stones and like trying to figure out who these people are. Because like we can be honest, like I'm still a fan of sports at the end of the day. Like I still watch the Warriors. I still watch the Niners, and like you can see these dudes and like not know them at all and be like, man, it's whatever. Like this down the third, he's trash. He's sorry. Like that's what sports fans say. That's what sports fans say. But you know, my perspective on it is different because you're around these guys and you get to know them as people, and that's kind of like where I kind of go with some of these. So it's not necessarily like me like trying to overtly like spread propaganda. It's more just like, you know, I mean, we like, I'm not even, I don't want to come off as like arrogance as this. But it's just like, we talk to them every day. And so it's different.
Well, Kenny's stealing from me because I was just going to say, yeah. So you're basically, this is why you like, you know, Jeezy Put On as a baseball song because it's not a baseball song.
Things about like, yeah. I mean, like it does sound like really weird when you say it like that. But again, it's like one of the stories that like I read today in The Athletic, it was talking about the Yankees pitching coach and how like when he came into the league, like he didn't play, like he did play, but like he didn't play in the league. He was never above like, I don't know what college he pitched in, whatever it was. Mm-hmm. And it's like at its root, it is a story about baseball, or like at its core is a story about baseball, but it's also about people. That's the stuff that like really intrigues me. Like, like the 26th person on the roster that had to fight like hell to like that was like, that's like a Chase the Young story. So I don't even know how I get on this tangent. That's just my like. I think a lot about writing. Yeah.
No, but I think I mean I know what you mean. Like when it comes to, you know, I think one of the jobs that you have as a writer is like connecting the fans with the players, right? And I mean the fans can see the game, right? You can write a game recap and you know we can do that, right? But as far as like, you know, getting behind the game and who this person is and what's made him get to this point. Yeah, that's stuff that fans like to read. So
yeah, like some of my favorite stories from last year, just off the top of my head, like Anthony Alford had like this mentorship with D. Strange Gordon because of their time in Indianapolis. Jason DeLay, how he was about to quit, like he was literally like 5 days away from quitting baseball. And then like these circumstances like fell into place so that it allowed him to like keep playing. Smith and Jigba, I don't know if you guys read that one. It's like a very long feature, but like his parents were teenagers. Like he had teenage parents. They were living in public housing. I think that's the correct term for it. Like they were going to school, like they were going to college while, you know, Kanan was a kid. His dad, Mata, was playing football at the time. And like, you know, it's about baseball. Again, it's at this core, like these are stories that revolve around baseball, but like these are also stories about like these people, like as people. And, you know, like some people like myself, I don't have the most interesting story in the world. Like I'm just a dude that writes baseball, but like some of these guys, like every person you meet, I think there's even a word for it. Just like every person you meet has their own unique story that's like led them to this point. And the way that I view it is like our responsibility is to find those stories and to share them if someone's comfortable sharing them. And not to get like too, you know what, I am going to get like really philosophical on this. Just like the way, like, I think a person's like story is intrinsically tied to their identity as people, and to misconstrue a story, therefore, is to misconstrue a person. And so like when I write about baseball, like when I write about swing change, new pitch, it's like, it's not that I don't care, but it's also like, it's just baseball. But when I'm writing about a story, like, and it's like this, I'm talking to you as like a person, That's like there are stories where like I will like when I wrote the one about Henry, I was like going back and forth. Like I would agonize over that. I would write maybe like one sentence or like one graph a day, and I would be like, is this what I want to say? Is this gonna like represent this person right? Like all of these stories that are about people, those are the ones where like I almost feel like I'm gonna throw up as I'm writing those. And that sounds really weird to say, but you know, those are the stories that like are the most fulfilling to write. And again, this has been Justice's writing 101.
I give you permission to write a story about me.
I will not be doing that, sir. If you find a major league pitcher 3 years removed from baseball and you get your swings in, I'll write that story. I might not publish it on MLB.com. I might write it. I'll put it in the notes app.
Might be the meanest thing you've ever said.
We'll feature it in our newsletter.
The screen
from Justice.
It'll be 2 sentences in the newsleiter. Local podcaster tries to make contact.
Well, you
I
know what?
was like, does it matter? Justice wrote it.
Those local podcasters took your lead.
Dude, this is actually funny. When I was writing like one of the stories this spring that's like more like human centric, I was talking to Alex about it, and Alex was like, "This is a very Justice story." He's like, Justice is about to cook right now." Even he knows it. He knows, like, it is like funny. Like when you're kind of like entering the business, you kind of like assume that everybody like occupies the same niche. Not assume, but like it feels like that. But then you get into the intricacies, and you're like, one person can go here, like one person can go here. Like it's kind of the same thing. Like some of my favorite writers are like those writers that attack the human element of things. But then there's also like I love the baseball prospectus people. I love Eno Saris. Like my God, I'm like there's like so many like my Kuya Mikey. It's my guy. He writes for Baseball Prospectus. I can only refer to him as Kuya Mikey. That's my guy. So it's just like various niches. I'm done with that's the end of Justice's rant on writing. I hope someone took away something from that.
You just inspired all these kids, Justice, 2 years younger than you, to write when they grow up.
Hey, John Parado told me he wants me to come speak to his class, and I got my notes ready.
Did you just say 2 years younger than him?
Yeah.
No, that's the thing though. Like if I speak to a college class, like some of them might be older than me. Some of them, like especially if I shaved, I'd be like, they'd be looking at me like, who the hell is this? Is he in the class?
That's why I didn't use your profile picture, by the way, because you said, I forget what you said, but you made such a stink about now you have this, you have this facial hair. So I didn't want to use this profile picture of babyface Justice.
Nah, my biggest thing was like in that video, like as soon as I was finished recording it and I looked at the footage for the before, I was like, man, I'm not looking like this ain't my angle, man. I was not feeling it. Man, actually, this is the thing though. Me and Alex were talking about this. How come Dejan gets the nice portrait, but we get the
no? Listen, I was just gonna bring it up. I was like, if anything though, you'll have a better one than Alex. I don't know how or why, but that just turned into like a thing.
I have a couple photos of Alex just like that I've taken on my camera. Actually, I have a really nice photo of Alex. Let me go dig that up.
But I think that's what happens. Like everyone's always has this photo of Alex and it gets published and put out there. And I'm like, oh, that's mine now.
I'll take
Here's the next meme.
I don't know. It's like somewhere in my hard drive, but somewhere in my hard drive, I have a really nice photo of Alex, like a really nice portrait. I'm gonna give myself 30 seconds to look it up. And if I can't find it in the next 30 seconds, we'll abandon the point. But he's not just relegated to like goofy looking photos.
Ooh, some breaking news, by the way. Luis Ortiz is replacing Garcia on the Dominican roster.
Okay.
There you go.
That's John Drecker.
Well, we're here to break the news for you, Justice.
There you go.
That's breaking news for me.
Yeah. So that's kind of interesting.
That is interesting.
Aren't you glad you came on the show now?
Not really.
Same.
Like, I am slightly interested to see him come out of the bullpen. in that.
Yeah,
role.
I mean, him and Contreras will probably both be coming out of that bullpen.
It does get interesting for like the young guys because like one of the things that we had talked about with Ortiz was like the development of the changeup in particular, and like it is a very interesting environment to throw some of these guys in. Throw is kind of a strong word, but it is a very interesting environment because they are trying to like improve and like that, like, yeah, no shit, they're trying to improve. Like they're trying to like be in an environment that's conducive to them like making the next step as pitchers. And the World Baseball Classic, that is very like we're trying to win. But that being said, though, like I think Alcantara's on there, Cueto's on there. Like those are some brains to pick. Rawanzi's going to be there too. It's
That
going to be
entire team is stacked, man.
yeah. They even like they've had some guys like pull out of it because of injuries, and like that team is still stacked.
Yeah, it's stacked. Team USA is stacked.
Are they going to have Mookie playing second? Is that going to be really a thing?
I'm for it.
Man, why not?
Made a nice play.
Didn't Mookie play second for the Dodgers like once?
Yeah, he played it like
I think he
Yeah.
did it for the Red Sox a couple times too.
Well, we came up with the Red Sox the second,
Right,
baseman,
but I think
he played it a few times for the Dodgers too.
Yeah, the Red Sox
Yeah, he-
had a pretty good second baseman when he came up.
he had like a couple instances where he played it last year, but it wasn't like
Yeah.
in the same way that like Ryan Reynolds isn't like fully transitioning. It's
Right.
Yeah. I
Well,
mean,
not-
he had
not
7
Amazon.
games.
Yeah, he played
7
20,
games at second
20
base. Yeah.
Yeah.
Last
20,
year.
21, and 22. 8 innings, 46, 46.
How cool is that to have in your back pocket? Like, yeah, if we can just take one of like top 5 hitters in baseball, throw him at second for fun.
That's the Dodgers, though.
I just want to like this is not like anyone's fault, but like I just hate how the first couple games of the WBC like are either 5 or 6 a.m. or 10 or 11 p.m. Eastern time. Like I want to watch these games, but I also don't want to like wake up hating myself. Just like rising
like-
at 6 a.m. and like ugh.
It's like during COVID when, or was it COVID or the lockout year? I feel like it had been the lockout year when the KBO was on, like everyone attached to the KBO because there's
That was
going on.
No, that was COVID year. I remember
it?
that.
Yeah.
It was like the
Everyone
only
picked their
thing on
KBO
ESPN.
team and it lasted
Yeah.
like a week until it died
And
out.
then they're like, nah,
I remember that. Yeah, because they
Yeah.
started playing like mid-April, I want to say.
Sounds about right. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Speaking of the element of sleep, I gotta. What time is it? 10:45. I hate to sound like my friends give me shit for this all the time, like because I don't go out. I don't be at bars or nothing. I like to be in bed. I like to be cozy. I need my 10. I would ideally get like 10 hours of sleep in my world. I'll take what I can get. Why are you looking at me like that? Sleep is important.
Dude.
Barry
We
Bonds
have a-
used to take naps before a game, and what did he do? Hit a lot of homers.
I
Steroid.
can't.
People
Like,
were
this is
given
just-
people were given Tristan Cassis. Is that how you say his name? They
Mhm.
like there was that article where like veteran members of the Red Sox were like tripping because he was taking naps before game. And I was like, dude, you don't want to be tired during the game. like he's let him do what he's got to do. The sunbathing is like it's good to be in the sun. That's good to be connected with nature.
I can't do it, man. I can't. Like I like to sleep too, and this is like like those fundamental moments in your life, like you hear something, it just changes like the entire aspect. That was this. It was just the perspective. It's something you just know and recognize, I guess. But I think I was like 20 years old, and someone's like, "You realize you sleep a third of your life away.
Don't
If
care.
you sleep 8 hours a day, you sleep a third of your life." And
Don't
I
care.
heard that, and I was like, "Holy hell, that's ridiculous. That's crazy." And I don't sleep anymore.
Don't care. Love sleep. It's awesome.
I need to live.
Nah, I need to see here's my philosophy on sleeping. I want to maximize the time of when I am awake, and in order to maximize that time, gotta get my sleep. My ideal world, I'm sleeping like 8 to 10 hours. I don't like all
5 to 6.
of the rising grind. Basically, anything that Andrew Tate has ever said pertaining to sleep, I want to do the opposite of that. Like, I feel like Andrew Tate has been like, yeah, you got to sleep 4 hours. And where did that land him? Prison.
So just don't do the other things. Like no one says you have to
I
do
think that will be pretty easy.
that during your 20 hours of being
Yeah.
awake.
I think it's a very low bar to clear.
I'm just
What
glad
a
that
guy. What a guy.
I am now going to be called Justice this entire Bradenton trip because by 10:30 I'm going to be like, all right, guys, we done?
Yeah.
Can I go lay down yet? We good?
I'm not like Alex. I feel like Alex can stay up. I'm soft isn't the right word. I'm a grandpa when it comes to this stuff. I like to be tucked in and cozy.
Yeah. I might
like
even
to
be
be outside.
awake. Like I might be awake till 1, but I want to be laying down.
That's
Boring.
fair. I can't
No,
see.
I just want to lay down.
I give some of my friends, like I joke with them all the time, like when they post like on their stories, like they at the club, they at the bar. I'm like, that's for y'all young kids, man. You go do what you need to do. I'm gonna be at home. It's overrated. That's all I'm saying. It's overrated. I'm saying that as a 24-year-old.
7 to 8 hours. That's my sweet spot.
This has been Justice's like boomerant of the day. It's all overrated.
Dude,
You don't need to spend $15 on a drink. Dancing with people that are musty and crusty. You don't need that in your life.
No, I got a 12-pack of Busch Light in the fridge for $10.99.
Not Icy Light, you fake Yinzer.
I'm not a Yinzer. See the hat? Ohio.
Hey man, how's East Palestine doing? It's been a
about,
while.
Yeah, it's about 15 minutes from me, but it's.
Oh God.
I mean, it's fine.
Tyler can't drink any water.
Hey, the word "fine" is doing a lot of lifting there.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's doing a lot of lifting there. It is doing a lot of lifting there. I didn't realize how close that was to Pittsburgh until I looked it up. I was like, Jesus Christ, man.
For the record,
that's not even the worst thing that happened.
My favorite part is that
Tyler
nobody
Stone.
knows it's like, oh yeah, that was like, I've had an interesting month. Like
I remember on the last podcast, you were like, "Did you hear about that?" And I was like, "No, I have no idea what you're talking about."
Yeah.
And then subsequently, I've read up on it and scared the hell out of myself. And I'm like, "Is this gonna get to Pittsburgh in some capacity?"
Oh, it did. But I mean, everything's fine. Like, just don't drink tap water.
I mean, they're about to be on the boil alerts. That's what we're about to be on.
Also, I love hearing everybody not know how to pronounce East Palestine.
Palestine.
We're in Ohio. We don't have any fancy accents.
It's like North for sales.
It is funny, like, to kind of bring that to my name. Like, I don't pronounce my name with like any accents. I'm like, sometimes I hear people say it, and I'm like, huh. It's interesting. Say like my last name, and like it's funny. Like I'm very like in touch with like my Filipino side, but like I don't like it. I'm not like whitewashing my name either. Like when I hear people say delos Santos, I'm like, huh, cool.
I mean,
sounds like
you did go through that Dominican roster with a pretty cool accent.
You said what?
You went through that Dominican roster with a pretty cool accent.
I try. I mean,
yeah,
I'm on my Duolingo. I got the notification like right up in here. It's somewhere here. Where is it? There it is. There's Duo. Last reminder: you lose your streak if you don't practice today. 308 days and counting. It's not 308 days straight. I use my streaks. I don't know. People can debate whether or not that counts. I try to the best of my ability. I also grew up in California too, and like my best friend is Mexican, so you get exposed.
I hardcore tried Duolingo for like a week.
See, here's the thing about Duolingo: that big ass bird starts pounding on your door when you don't do your lessons.
Well, that's what it was. I had to turn notifications off.
Now you got to keep those notifications on. They're gonna guilt trip you to hell. They gonna guilt trip you to knowing the difference between stoy and estoy. They gonna guilt trip you to hell to knowing the difference between estan and son.
Really glad we talked about 40 minutes of Pirates baseball.
Did we though?
Maybe
we talked.
It's all about
we had Garcia, Reynolds, and Sawinski,
Cal Mitchell,
Kanan, the bench situation as a whole, and we had breaking news. That's a complete podcast.
It is.
I agree.
We just didn't have the mukbang aspect of it. My food's just been sitting here the entire time. I'm about to slam this and go to sleep.
All right, we'll let you eat, Justice.
It's been a pleasure as
So,
always.
and go to bed. We know how crucial that is for you. No, of course. And I guess we'll see you in like 2 weeks as well.
Live
The
podcast.
Tyler versus Justice matchup. The whole world's been dying.
Nah,
for.
the real. You gonna clip this one right here. The real matchup that everyone's looking forward to. Justice Dos Santos versus Alex Stumpf. Rumble in the jungle. No gloves. Bare-fisted. 12 rounds.
What if there is gloves?
No gloves. No
Okay,
tape.
fine. I have to
Nothing.
cancel that Amazon order.
We going barroom brawl.
Because this is happening. You two are fighting.
We're fighting. I resist.
All right.
I have to resist the temptation to fight him every day, and he has to do the same thing with me. We're scrapping.
Let's get it out.
We're gonna do
2
it on the
weeks.
live podcast.
Who's gonna? We need a promoter. Who's gonna be our Don King?
Jim's rich. He can do it.
Jim can do it.
Yeah, well,
Don had the crazy
I'll
hair. Jim's got
I'll
the
put a
crazy
TikTok
forehead.
together. Yeah.
I need to curate a nickname for myself. We're gonna figure that out later. But anyway, y'all,
All right.
it's a pleasure
Yep.
as always. Appreciate y'all for tolerating me and
Or
my
sure.
inability to talk about Caleb Smith's two seam.
Caleb Smith and Jigba.
That's
I
right.
should never have said that. The intrusive thoughts won.
But no, for real. Thanks for coming on. Everyone else, thanks for watching. We will see you guys later. Bye-bye.
Peace, Tiger Scouts.
See you guys.
Hey, you all. Thank you for watching. I know we try to provide the most entertaining content that we can, and we'd love to spread it to as many people as possible. So I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but if you could take the 5 seconds to like this video and subscribe to the page, it helps out so much more than you know. Thank you, and let's go Bucks.